You're using it right this very second. In fact, you couldn't be watching this without it. Today, we're going to talk about the story of the one man who really made our modern world possible, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web.
But to really get your head around the genius of his invention, we have to go back in time. So, before the web, how did people actually share information online? If you were a scientist, how would you get your latest research to a colleague, just down the hall, let alone on the other side of the world?
Well, the short answer, it was a mess. A really frustrating digital Tower of Babel. There was no universal system, just little pockets of information locked away on separate computers that couldn't talk to each other.
To truly understand this chaos, let's go to the epicenter of the problem back in the 1980s, a place called CERN, the European Particle Physics Laboratory.
So try to picture this. CERN was the biggest internet node in all of Europe, absolutely packed with thousands of brilliant researchers. But working together was a total nightmare. Every time they tried to share data, they just hit a wall. One scientist's work was on a Mac, another's was on a VAX mainframe, a third on a PC. It was like a sea of disconnected information islands, and it was literally slowing down the pace of science itself.
But right in the middle of all this chaos was a young British computer scientist, Tim Berners-Lee. And where everyone else saw frustration, he saw a huge opportunity. He was fascinated by this idea called hypertext, the idea of linking documents together. And he started asking this really powerful question: what if you could do that, but on a global scale? And that right there brings us to the invention itself. Now, this wasn't some single lightning strike of genius. It was more about brilliantly connecting ideas that were already out there.
When Berners-Lee first proposed his idea back in 1989, there was no standing ovation. Nope. In fact, his manager, a guy named Mike Sendall, scribbled this now famous note in the margins. Vague, but exciting. Thankfully, exciting was enough. He gave Berners-Lee the time to work on it, and that decision, well, it changed the world. And I love how Berners-Lee himself described it. He said he just had to take the hypertext idea, clicking a link to jump between documents, and connect it to the internet's existing infrastructure. He basically merged a powerful idea with a powerful network, and ta-da, the World Wide Web was born. The key here is he didn't just have an idea. He built the whole toolkit. He came up with 3 core technologies that, believe it or not, still power the web today. First, you've got the URL. Think of it like a unique street address for every single thing online. Second, HTTP. That's kind of like the mail carrier that goes and fetches whatever is at that address. And third, HTML. That's the language used to actually write the web page itself. It was the whole shebang, a complete, ready-to-go system. And the speed at which this all came to life was just incredible. The proposal was in 1989. Just 1 year later, working on a Next computer, he'd already built the very first web browser and server. By 1991, the world's first website was officially live, and its mission was simple: to explain what the web was and invite everyone to join in. But inventing the web was really only half the story. The truly revolutionary part came next, with a decision that would make sure it would become a tool for all of humanity. This number, 0. This is maybe the most important part of the entire story, because it represents the amount of money in royalties or patent fees that Tim Berners-Lee and CERN decided to charge for the web. That number? 0. Absolutely nothing. And this was just monumental. By making the web a public good, totally free for anyone to use and build on without asking permission or paying a dime, they basically lit the fuse. That single decision is why we have millions of websites and a global information network instead of some proprietary system controlled by just one company. But the story isn't over, not by a long shot. 3 decades later, the inventor of the web is looking at his creation and, well, he's seeing a whole new problem that needs fixing. Berners-Lee argues that his original vision of a decentralized web has kind of gotten lost. Today, our personal data isn't really ours, is it? It's locked away on the servers of a few giant corporations. And in the process, we've basically lost control over our own digital lives. So he's building again. His latest work is called the Solid Project. And it's this really ambitious open source initiative designed to re-decentralize the web and fundamentally change how our data is managed. So how would it work? The shift is profound. Right now, your data lives in these company silos. With Solid, it would live in your own personal data pod. Instead of apps owning your information, you would grant them permission to access it when they need it. It's a fundamental change from a web where you are the product to one where you are the owner.
And this really brings us full circle. During the 2012 London Olympics, Berners-Lee sat in the stadium and tweeted this simple, powerful message. This is for everyone. It was the guiding principle behind his decision to give the web away for free back in the 90s. And it's the exact same principle driving his fight today to build a new web, one that truly empowers the individual. The big question is, can the man who wove the web now reweave it for a new generation?